Mime, stop. Those aren't tea. Decorations. Those are my safety guides. And you're not touching them again. I said it loud enough for the whole street to hear. Because what I was looking at wasn't tea and HOA violation. It was vandalism done with a smug smile like she'd just won something. That morning, I stepped outside and saw Kendra Mallory, our HOA president, kneeling on my walkway with a utility blade, slicing through the bright reflective edge strips I'd installed. Not for looks, not for attention, for survival. She stood up like nothing happened, brushed her expensive jacket, adjusted her sunglasses, and said dead serious, "Those orange lines make the neighborhood look cheap. I am Ethan. I am a disabled combat veteran. An explosion overseas didn't just take my balance, it rewired my whole life. Some days I walk okay. Other days, my leg drags and my brain misjudges steps like the ground is moving. And here's the thing Kendra clearly didn't understand. Those ugly strips weren't optional. They were court-approved disability accommodations. In writing, on paper, signed by the kind of people you don't argue with. But she cut them anyway. Then like a cherry on top, her black SUV sat across my driveway, half blocking it, like she wanted me to struggle. On purpose. So I am asking you, what would you do if an HOA Karen destroyed your disability aids and laughed while doing it? Drop your city in the comments. Because this story turns from suburban drama into federal nightmare. Real quick. My wife Nadia and I moved into Sagebrush Ridge thinking we'd finally found peace. We were in the suburbs outside Tucson, where the mornings smell like cut grass and warm asphalt, and the evenings feel like the whole world slows down. Our son Aiden made friends within a week. Nadia, an ER nurse, loved coming home to quiet after 12-hour shifts. And me, I just wanted space to rebuild my small IT business from home. I wasn't asking for parade. I wasn't asking for special treatment. Just the right to walk from my driveway to my front door without falling. Sagebrush Ridge looked perfect. Neat lawns, tidy sidewalks, new houses, friendly neighbors, until we met Kendra Mallory. Kendra didn't run the HOA. She performed it. She treated neighborhood rules like military law, except with worse leadership and more ego. She'd walk around with a clipboard like she was inspecting troops. I once watched her measure someone's grass with a ruler. A ruler. Her inner circle was always nearby like background villains. Trevor Kane, the HOA treasurer and accountant who smiled a little too much when fines were involved. Lori Hensley, secretary who knew everyone's business before they did. Together, they turned our neighborhood into their personal stage. The trouble started about 6 months after we moved in. My balance got worse. One bad week, I fell twice, once on the walkway, once inside the garage. That second fall was ugly. I hit my shoulder hard enough that Nadia had to help me stand like I was made of glass. So we did the responsible thing. We requested reasonable accommodations, brighter pathway lights, a non-slip surface treatment, and reflective edge strips so I could see the walkway clearly when my legs started failing. I offered to pay for everything. Kendra's response was immediate. No. Not. Let us discuss. Not. Show us the medical paperwork. Just. No. This isn't a rehabilitation center. Then she added something that still makes my stomach turn. If you can handle walking, maybe this community isn't for you. That was the moment I realized this wasn't about aesthetics. It was about control. So I did my homework. Under the Fair Housing Act, HOAs can deny reasonable accommodations for a disability. They don't get to vote on whether my body fits their vibe. They don't get to reject safety modifications because they don't match the mailbox color. So we filed the paperwork properly. And Kendra fought it like we'd asked to install a billboard. She sent letters. She stalled. She demanded alternatives that were less visible. Like my disability should be invisible too. Mediation failed because she refused to compromise. So we ended up in federal court. And the judge let us just say she didn't have patience for HOA nonsense. The order came down clean and sharp. Install the accommodations. Immediately. Kendra lost. And losing in court should humble a normal person. But Kendra wasn't normal. She turned my walkway into her obsession. She couldn't legally remove the accommodations anymore. So she turned the rest of our lives into a target. Trash can visible. Fine. Car tires barely over the line. Fine. Kids. Chalk on the sidewalk. Fine. Wind chime too loud. Fine. Even our welcome mat got documented. And every time she passed my house, she stared at those reflective strips like they were personally insulting her. She started calling them government graffiti. At board meetings, she'd rant like I'd forced the whole neighborhood to wear ugly shoes. Trevor and Lori fed it whispering, nodding, backing her up. And that morning, the morning she crouched like a thief and cut them up. That was her snapping. 2 weeks after the court order, she held an emergency HOA meeting. She walked in with slides like she was briefing a crisis team. This community is under threat, she announced, clicking to photo of my walkway. Zoomed in. Blown up. Our property values are at risk. Then Trevor stood up with printed studies, claiming disability accommodations lower home prices. It sounded official, but it was nonsense. The kind of nonsense that works when people don't question it. And plenty didn't. Some neighbors started avoiding us. People who used to wave suddenly stared at their phones. One kid stopped coming over because his dad told him our family was causing trouble. That's what hurt the most. Not Kendra's tantrums. Not the fines. The way she slowly poisoned our name. Then she did something I didn't expect. She contacted one of my clients. One of my biggest. The office manager called me awkwardly and said, "We got a strange call from someone claiming to represent your HOA. Saying you're unstable." Unstable. I tasted rage in the back of my throat. Because that wasn't just petty. That was warfare. And that's when I stopped reacting emotionally and started collecting evidence. I recorded everything. Phone calls, doorstep confrontations, board meetings, emails. Because in my state, as long as I am part of the conversation, I can record it. Kendra didn't know that. She didn't know she was building a case against herself one mistake at a time. Then she crossed a line no one comes back from. She tampered with our mailbox. Not accidentally. Not. It broke. The lock was bent. The numbers were pulled off. And the mail carrier refused delivery. And that night, my camera caught her SUV creeping through the street right during the exact time window. When I told Nadia, she didn't yell. She got quiet. That nurse quiet. The kind that means someone's about to get diagnosed with consequences. Okay, she said. Now we're not playing defense. We contacted a civil rights attorney, then a federal investigator. And after looking through our recordings, the investigator said something I'll never forget. This isn't just harassment. This is retaliation. And retaliation is where people go from HOA problem to federal case. Kendra thought she was punishing us, but she was actually creating a timeline. A beautiful, undeniable timeline. And the best part, she still didn't know we had it. She was planning the annual HOA meeting like it was going to be our public execution. She even hired security to maintain order. 2 guys in dark suits standing near the front like bouncers. Because Kendra's favorite move wasn't community. It was intimidation. The night of the meeting, the community center was packed. Standing room only. Kendra walked up to the microphone like a queen walking into her throne room. We're here to restore the integrity of Sagebrush Ridge, she said. Then she displayed my walkway again. And I watched her do it this time with more confidence. Like she convinced herself she was the hero. She started talking about standards and disruption and protecting the neighborhood. And then, from the crowd, a retired neighbor stood up and asked one question. Can we talk about the HOA financial reports? Kendra froze for half a second. Just half. But it was enough. Another neighbor spoke up. What is Mallory Home Services? And why did it receive thousands of dollars? Kendra's face changed color. Trevor tried to interrupt, but the room was already waking up. Then someone else stood. Why are their monthly payments labeled consulting fees? Going to your treasurer. Kendra's lips parted but no sound came out. Because in that moment, the crowd stopped being afraid. and started being curious. And curiosity is deadly for people who rely on fear. That's when I stood up. I didn't shout. I didn't insult her. I just said calmly, "For months, you told people my safety accommodations were the problem. But the real problem is the person who used my disability as a distraction." I handed out the evidence packets Nadia prepared. Simple charts, clean numbers, easy to understand. And then I played one recorded clip. Kendra's voice, crystal clear, threatening too. "Make sure everyone knows. I am the reason property values drop. If I don't remove those hideous strips." The room shifted like a storm rolling in. And then the real mic drop happened. A speaker crackled. A calm voice came through. "Miss Mallory, this is a federal investigator. Please remain where you are." Kendra blinked like she couldn't process it. Like she thought the world worked on HOA rules. But it doesn't. Not when federal law gets involved. Months later, the neighborhood looked different. Not because the houses changed. Because the fear left. New HOA leadership took over. Transparency rules came in. People who used to whisper started speaking out loud. In my walkway, those reflective strips are still there. But now, they are surrounded by fresh landscaping and solar lighting installed with community support. Not grudging compliance. Because once people saw what was really happening, they didn't just defend me. They defended the idea that no one should have to hide a disability to make someone else comfortable. Kendra wanted to erase my accommodations. Instead, she exposed herself. And she learned the hard way. You can run a neighborhood like a tiny kingdom, but you can declare independence from federal law. If stories like this matter to you, hit subscribe and stand with us.